Alright, so today we are going to talk about more tips for helping you improve your base. These are going to help you optimize your space and potentially make your base look even better. I have made a couple of building tips videos and you guys seem to like them. So if you also enjoyed this one, definitely make sure to leave a like because it really helps out the channel. And you can also drop a sub if you want to see more content like this. So the first one is going to be a new way for setting up railings in your build. This one actually looks really good because the whole thing looks like it's all in one piece and you can really get creative with how you would want to use this. So to get this type of look, the item that you're going to use is the hanging trap. The good thing about this item is that you can still place it even if there is a roof on top of it. So if you build something like this where you have a foundation and then a roof directly on top, if you place the hanging trap anywhere on the foundation, then you're only going to see the top part of the hanging trap. As an example, I actually used this on my front porch for my beach house. What I did was basically a ton of trial and error until I was able to place a foundation right here on this level so that I can perfectly align the roof to make it seamlessly blend with the foundations that are making up the main level of the front porch. So now, when you walk up to the front porch, you can't really tell that this is not a foundation, not unless you look really close. And then next up, I tried my best to align the hanging traps as consistently as possible. This, again, is a lot of trial and error because you would want the top part of the hanging trap to look like it's all connecting together. It's going to take a little bit of patience and some finessing because you really have to make sure that the whole thing looks like it's all in one piece. You should also try to avoid obvious misalignments because that is going to break the illusion. For the next part, I don't really like how it looks when you can see the rocks underneath the structure, so I decided to cover them up using windowed walls. It looks way better like this in my opinion because the rocks are no longer sticking out like a sore thumb and you can still see the wooden foundations underneath. The only downside to this method is that it's basically restricted to the ground level structures that you're building. Let's say for example that you want to have this type of railing but on something like a balcony on the second floor. There is actually no way for us to replicate this without making things super bulky simply because of how tall the hanging trap is. So instead, a really good alternative that I found is by using this sort of modified version of the popular wooden bench method. So what you can do is instead of having the wooden bench on the ground level per se, you can stack two wooden benches together and get rid of the one underneath. It gives a totally different vibe because it's a little bit higher than the usual one, and if you also combine this with a wooden bar stool and a potted plant on top, then all of it will go together really well. This one is a really good alternative for railings, and you can also use this like a table just like this one, and it's going to be really good because it doesn't take up a lot of space. So aside from using this for railings, you can also use the hanging traps to make some sort of pillar. You can place it very close to the wall like this, and you can also place a wall behind it so that the rocks are out of sight. But if you don't mind the balls being exposed like this, then you will have more flexibility when it comes to where you would want to put this. You can really get creative with how you would want to use the hanging traps for a building, so definitely experiment with it to see what awesome builds you can come up with. So moving on, the next one is going to be about how you can optimize the space when it comes to farming. For most people, you probably have your plantations side to side, so it takes up a lot of space, especially if you have different types of plantations. But a really good method is that you can basically stack the plantations on top of each other so that you can save a lot of space. And for you to do this, you're going to need a wooden bar stool from the level 5 furniture set, and you're also going to need the level 36 outdoor furniture set. We are going to use the wooden bar stool to place the plantation at the very top, but also make sure that you don't build the plantation just yet. First, we have to align the center of the plantation directly onto the wooden bar stool. The plantation is going to be flat on the ground, but if you see it move up, then that's how you know that you have aligned it properly. Now all you have to do is to jump up and place the plantation as the indicator turns blue. After you place the plantation, you can go ahead and break the wooden bar stool because now we are going to place a tire underneath. For this part, make sure that you are manually building the tire because we are saving the plantations for last. You have to directly aim at the item and make sure that you are building the tire and not a plantation. And then similar to the first one, you also have to align the center of the plantation and you simply have to jump to place it. I like to build mine in sort of like a staircase pattern simply because I like how it looks. But you can also stack them directly on top of each other to save the most space. And then for the last one, you simply have to break the tire and place the third plantation underneath. After you finish building all the plantations, then you are basically done with this build. This is a really good way to make your base look even better, and at the same time, you are also saving a lot of space. As you can see, these benches were basically the outline for my other farming setup, but after I used this new method, I essentially halved the size of my farm without losing any function. And so moving on, the next one is going to be a bonus tip, and this one is about how you can stop your pals from glitching out of your base. If you have been playing this game for a while now, you would know how annoying it is when your pals glitch outside of the walls and all sorts of other funky stuff. I'm going to make a separate video talking about all the ways you can prevent them from glitching out, but for this one, I actually figured that I would share one thing that actually had a really big impact on my base. So specifically, I'm talking about leaving a good amount of space between the wall and the things that your pals interact with. So for example, you have your pal beds, stone pit, logging site, electric furnace, and the electric kitchen. It doesn't really apply to plantations because I haven't had any problems even though mine is directly beside the wall, so we are only going to focus on the other things other than the plantations. Leaving one tile of empty space is going to solve the glitching problem because your pals actually have more room to navigate in. I also noticed that whenever my pals randomly spawn in some awkward spot and they get stuck, it's always in the outer parts of my base, in between the wall and some sort of structure. And so after I made this change to my base, on top of the other things that I will be talking about in a future video, I have actually never seen a pal get stuck in random places ever since. So definitely give this a try, and also look forward to my future video where I'll be talking about the different ways that you can use to prevent your pals from glitching out. With that being said, that is pretty much everything I have for this video. If you found this video useful, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.